Broski, I know what it's like when you're trying to shift that lower belly pouch. Your face is getting leaner, your arms is getting leaner, your chest is getting leaner, but you stand in the mirror and you can still see that stubborn belly fat and it won't shift. So you're stood in the mirror thinking, what the hell is going on? And the thing is, nothing is going wrong, not necessarily, but there are things happening that nobody explains when you first start your cut. Not knowing what's happening to your body is the main reason why people quit when you are on the brink of getting to that sub 10% body fat and getting those abs that you truly want. As I get people lean for a living because I'm an online coach, I'm going to split this video into 3 sections. Why belly fat is so stubborn, how to lose it without making it harder than it needs to be, and how to keep it off, because 90% of people don't and end straight back at square one. So let's get straight into the video, fellas. So why is it so stubborn to lose? Because I know the frustration when you think you're getting leaner but it's still there. Even if you don't have a lot of body fat to lose, whether you're skinny fat, whether you have a lot of body fat to shift, that little pouch still hangs there. And that's because there's 2 types of fat around your midsection. Visceral fat, I can barely even say that word, which is wrapped around your organs deep inside. But here's the thing, it's not actually that stubborn and it does actually respond very well to a calorie deficit. Exercise alone can actually reduce it without a lot of weight loss. So a few weeks in, when your belly still looks similar on the outside, internally, you're probably getting healthier and actually leaner, but it's just not visible yet. And then the other type of fat is subcutaneous fat. This is the layer of fat underneath your skin that you can actually grab, which is the problem. And usually it's stored around the midsection, around your stomach, which most of you lot are trying to lose right now. But here's why it's a problem. Fat cells have 2 types of receptors. Beta receptors release fat readily compared to alpha 2 receptors, which hold onto it, which is not ideal when we're trying to get rid of it. Your arms, your chest, your face, these are all loaded with beta receptors, which is why they lean out first. Your belly, particularly if you're a male, has a much higher density of alpha 2 receptors, which holds on to everything the longest. Think of it like a puddle drying out. The edges always go first and the middle will go last. That's exactly how stubborn belly fat works. And that's just biology. The other reason why it takes so long is most guys underestimate how much body fat they actually have to shift. And I made another video about this that I will link here that you can watch as well, in terms of the timeline, how long it will roughly take, and why most people have more body weight to shift than they think. You might need to lose 5 kilos from your legs, your arms, your chest, before your body even starts to move that stubborn belly fat around your stomach, which is super frustrating, but you can't spot reduced belly fat. So in terms of how much you got to lose, you probably have double than you actually expect, which is super annoying, but that's just how it works because most people have never got truly lean in their life. For example, I have a client that was 8 weeks into the cut and he was ready to sack the whole thing off because everywhere was getting leaner bar his stomach. But what I had to reassure him is we needed to keep going because he was on the brink of getting that result that he wanted. But you really do have to trust the process because your stomach area is going to be the last thing that's going to go. My tip for you is don't go off the metrics smart scales give you because it's so inaccurate and there's not really a great way to measure body fat. The best thing you can do is take weekly progress pictures and compare week by week. That is the best form of reviewing progress paired with your weekly average scale weight. Part 2, how do you actually lose it? Belly fat is the last thing in the sequence that's going to disappear. So it's a must. You get lean once and you get lean properly. And that means the leanest position you've ever been in, because that body fat is going to go from between your fingers, the back of your legs, arms, chest, everywhere. Then eventually your stomach will disappear. But it's true that you must get at least to 10% body fat for that to happen. It's not going to happen when you still got more to lose than you think. And that's why I'm a huge advocator for aggressive fat loss, because people think, oh, fat loss needs to be sustainable. That's bullshit, to be honest, because you want to minimize the amount of time you spend in a fat loss phase. So get lean once, get lean properly. And if you have something like 5 to 10 kilograms to lose, 10 kilograms is going to take a lot longer than 5. So bear that in mind. But you need to be in it for the long run to trust the process and see it out. Here's exactly what that looks like. Be in a calorie deficit from the start, at least 300 to 500 calories below maintenance. Enough to drive consistent fat loss every week, not so much that cortisol spikes, hunger comes unmanageable, and you're off it within the next 2 weeks. And when your body is under stress, it will release cortisol. So your cortisol levels throughout a cut are super important because elevated cortisol promotes abdominal fat storage, making it harder to mobilize the fat around your stomach area. So if you're constantly stressed, it's going to be harder to shift that stubborn belly fat. So make sure you manage your nervous system and your stress levels. That's exactly why crash dieting will not make that stubborn belly fat go faster. So don't even try it, bro. It's not worth it. Aggressive deficit that you can actually hold for 8 to 16 weeks wins every single time compared to completely slashing your calories. Protein needs to be at least 1 gram per pound of lean body weight, and that's got to be a non-negotiable. That's going to keep you satiated. That's going to help you retain and build muscle mass across this fat loss phase. Then with your resistance training, what built the muscle is going to maintain the muscle. And I'm a huge advocate with having the mindset of, yes, you're in a calorie deficit. This doesn't mean you still can't be strong, you still can't progress. Obviously, when you get to the back end of your cut, when you're on low calories, it's going to be harder to progress, but I'm still a strong believer you can maintain the numbers you have. So track your lifts, make sure you go into the gym like you actually train with intent and you mean it. And that's the way when you cut down, you don't look ultra skinny because you actually still have the muscle mass that you built. And that's whether you train 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, just make sure it's consistent. And we have steps. Steps are the most underrated thing for getting lean because it's low intensity cardio. So 10K steps minimum a day needs to be your non-negotiable because this is what's going to keep you lean. This is what's going to allow you to get leaner and leaner every single week without hours and hours of cardio. So just move more, which is so simple. Sleep is vital for fat loss as well. Cortisol is suppressed during sleep. Your growth hormones peak during sleep. Both directly affect fat mobilization, which is what's going to shift that stubborn belly fat, brother. Constantly undersleeping 4, 5, 6 hours a night is going to work against this process of shifting that body weight. So make sure you are focusing on high quality sleep. Even get yourself an Oura ring to track. I'm obsessed with making sure that I sleep well, which is why I recover well. And then a rough timeline for this. If you have 10 kilos to lose and you want to lose it at a 0.5 kilo a week, that will take you around 20 weeks. So bear that in mind. And I'll be completely honest, that stubborn belly fat is not going to shift until you're well and truly deep into this process. Not week 2, not week 3, not week 4. I'm talking week 8, 9, 10. And that doesn't mean you're failing and it's not working. That's just the sequence here. So make sure you set your deficit by taking your current maintenance calories and subtracting 300 to 500 calories, depending how aggressive you want to be. Weigh yourself daily, take the weekly average, track the trends across weeks, not just the daily, and then you'll be on to a winner. Part 3, the most important of actually keeping it off and staying lean. 90% of people who lose fat put it straight back on because they treat their cut like a project and it has an end date. So as soon as you get to that end date, you slip straight back into your old habits. The 10% of people who stay lean permanently don't think about it differently because they're more motivated. They just understood going into the habits to get them lean have to become a lifestyle. Belly fat will always come back if the lifestyle that caused it comes back into action. So it's simple, just make this a lifestyle. This doesn't mean you gotta eat poverty calories forever. That is just a phase, but you make the habits into a lifestyle. And that's it. The only way to keep it off for good and long term is making fitness a part of your lifestyle. The sleep, the habits, the way you eat, the way you train. That's just what you do. And once you get lean properly and get those abs out and get sub 10%, you can go straight into a reverse phase, which is what I take all my clients through. So when you get to the cut, you get lean and then you reverse out, which in simple terms is just where you slowly build your calories back up and go back to maintenance. And it's so much easier to maintain a lean physique rather than get lean. And then that means from the deficit, you're going to be eating more and you're still going to be looking lean. And I take every single one of my clients through them. You can see Aaron here. First, we took him through a 12-week fat loss phase to get him lean. And then now we reversed all his calories up and he's eating double the amount he was at the bottom of the deficit. He was eating 1,500 calories and now he's eating 2,800 calories and he's just as lean, bigger, stronger in the gym. And that's the power of taking yourself through a proper reverse phase. Because if you just think the cut is done on that one day, I guarantee you that body weight will come straight back on because you think the cut ends just there. It doesn't. Arguably the hardest part of the diet is the reverse phase. And then from that point, you can go into a muscle build phase, you can start bulking, you can have some performance-based goals, whatever you want to go into, it's so much easier to maintain those lean gains. So my main tip from this is when you hit that goal of getting lean, don't stop, brother. Make it a lifestyle. Move to a reverse phase, move to maintenance, set up some new goals and keep going. And that's how you're gonna be part of that 10% that stays in shape forever. Think of the decade game here. That's what I want from every one of you. So just to wrap this up, belly fat is always the last thing that's gonna go because of the biology and just how it works, all right? So get that into your timeline. None of that is your fault, but knowing this will stop you from quitting so early because things will continue to work. You just gotta trust the process. Now that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you're still struggling to shift that lower body fat and you want some support, then drop me a message with the link below and we can have a chat about it, because this is what I do for a living and you can be part of the many results of the Platinum team to make this a lifestyle, to be in shape for the decade game. That's what I want from people. If not, YouTube recommends you watch this video and I'll see you in the next one, bro. In a bit, people.